I'm Chef Jasper, and today we're in the kitchen preparing an old school recipe. I love my old school recipes. We're doing peri chicken. Well, is it old school? Yes and no. The dish comes from Mozambique, that's right. And I'll tell you what, it traveled a little bit, became very popular over time, and a certain restaurant actually made it even more important to people, and then everyone started cooking it in their kitchen. Then the recipe was kind of forgot about it. Well, I love to prepare it, and you're going to enjoy it, I guarantee it. So let's start off with one whole fresh chicken. Now, a couple of theories on this recipe, and the original way is just to cut the chicken right in half, the whole chicken right in half. So we'll start that first. So I've cut this chicken into several pieces. Of course, you can just cut it in half. That's the original way of serving, but I think it's a little bit more difficult maybe when you're getting ready to eat it. It looks great for presentation, but I think this is a little more presentable. Now, I will tell you, in Italy, we actually cut the chicken in more pieces. That's right. So it's more like chunks with the bone on it. That's okay. So it's really up to you. And if you don't even want to cut the chicken, then go ahead and buy the pieces already cut up, or go to my tutorial and you'll learn a little bit more about cutting a whole chicken. Now, let's start with the sauce and the marinade because it's all together, but we're going to keep it separate, and I'll tell you about that in a second here. So we need to add a little bit of paprika. I have extra paprika just in case. I'll show you what that's for later on. And of course, our oregano. I like the dried oregano instead of the fresh, yes. Lots of red pepper, that's right. Oh, I love the red pepper flakes. Garlic, a lot of garlic cloves, come on. The more, the merrier. Basil leaves, how about this? So, love my basil. We're going to actually cut it up, and then I'll put a little more on the chicken when we take it out of the oven for not only presentation, but I just love that flavor and that scent. And that's, you know, when you get ready to serve it, it really makes a difference. Now, our lime juice. Yes, lime juice instead of lemon juice. There is a little bit of difference in this recipe. Our olive oil, and then we're just going to put this right on top here, and we're going to mix it just for a few. That's all there is to it. Take this out. And believe me, double the recipe if you'd like. That's okay. Get all of this. Put it right in there. Now, again, like I told you, I'm going to save a little bit here. Show you another little secret here in a minute. And don't be shy with that sauce because that is where our flavor is at. All right, now let's get our chicken pieces here. Just put them right in there. And then you can either leave it in here, you know, an hour or so overnight is even better. Yes, even better. Now, this chicken, it looks like a lot of chicken, and, you know, I said a little bit of marinade, of course, but I also have some extra paprika. I'll put in here, and then we're just going to mix up. And you know what? Put some gloves on, get a couple spoons, but you know what? You got to get a little dirty, and that's okay. We're cooking in the kitchen today, and just mix this all up. And oh, man, that smell right now is just absolutely perfect. Okay, anything else we can add to this? Not really. You know, I like to mess around with my recipes sometimes, but you know what? This is just perfect as is. Have a big bag. You could put it in a storage bag and put it in the refrigerator for an hour or overnight, like I said. But you need to let this sit for a little bit. Also, I have not put my salt and pepper on. I'll do that when I actually put it in the oven. And I'll tell you why, because I really don't want that chicken to come off the, you know, the skin to come off that bone. A lot of people don't realize that about the salt. But what does salt do? It draws the water out. I don't want to do that. I don't want to draw the moisture out of anything. A lot of people always put the salt in their marinades. That's a good start. Come on, we've been doing it for years and years, especially with barbecue and all. But put the salt in at the end, right before we put it in the oven, and we'll put a little more salt on once we put it in the oven. So we'll get this in the refrigerator and let it sit for a little bit. All right, and now it's time to take the chicken that has been marinating for an hour plus, it's up to you again, and place it on the roasting pan, and we're gonna put it in the oven. Let's put a little food release. Yes, I like a lot of food release. I also like to put the foil on these pans because it really helps with the cleanup. So that's up to you also. And here we go. Now remember, we haven't put the salt and pepper on here yet, so let's just place this down here. All these nice pieces. Oh my gosh. I mean, you could really tell this marination. Now, another thing, you know, I like to put more garlic, of course, in mine, and I also like to throw some scallions or onions in there too. I use a lot of scallions, a lot of green onions, so that's up to you also, you know. But the original recipe, that's what we're trying to stick to right here. All right. And, of course, once we finish all this, just move that around. And now for a little bit of salt and pepper. Of course, I talked about this earlier. Right on top here. Looks like a lot, but we're nice. Gives it a nice little crust also. We already have a lot of pepper in here, so we're not really worried about that much pepper. And a little tip here, okay? I have more paprika. It's up to you. I already have some marinade on there, but you know, just a little bit touch. Look at that. Look at how I'm just drizzling that oil on there. You don't want to pour it on here. And just enough to sprinkle it on there. And now here we go. This to me is peri peri chicken at its finest. One of my absolute favorites. And all we're going to do now is just place this in the oven. Oh, did I tell you some extra garlic cloves? Oh, yeah. So I like to smash some garlic. I also just like to get a whole head of garlic, smash it down and put it right in there and roast it with the chicken. Oh, it's absolutely delicious. It comes out when you take the chicken out and the garlic is like butter. It's just, and you can even spread it on there, do whatever you want with it. So we're going to put this in the oven now, let this bake until, and I always like to tell you this, I can give you a time, but the internal temperature of that chicken is 165 degrees. And we get a nice crust on here. Ah, peri peri chicken right out of the oven. A delicious dish, such great history. Let's start plating this and put a little bit of our marinade on there, a little bit of the lime, and of course, some of that fresh basil right on top. Absolutely beautiful, easy to prepare, and something I think everyone is really going to enjoy. I think that's enough for this plate here. Now, let's go and cut this lime in half first, and then we'll save half of this to put on top there. But also, I want to quarter this, put some little slices here, quarters on the on my platter here, just for a little color. Maybe some people want to put a little more lime juice on there. I'm going to sprinkle this with just a little bit of juice here. This just finishes it. Gives it a nice little coating also here. But then the real finish, I have that marinade. Oh, now remember, I told you this before, separate that marinade. You don't want any chicken in this marinade here. You don't want to use those juices, even though we heated that up here. This is the juice that we didn't marinate in the sauce that we did not use. Just perfect here. Look at that. I don't want to waste it. I want to get this spoon and just eat it right now. Of course, a little bit of basilico, the fresh basil. We'll put little pieces here, and you could just tear it if you like, and kind of make it look, you know, kind of natural. I love my basil. I love to finish with basil. I like to cook with it. And there we go. Here we have it now. My favorite peri peri chicken. We brought it back. I hope you prepare it in your kitchen. It's a dish that I am honored to serve my family. Brought to you by Hen House Markets.